Welcome back to your Tuesdays this morning. We're here with you till 12:30. Buddy's getting very excited because I've got some... OK, now sit down for me.
Yes, he's back in the studio today and he's made a new friend. Labour Minister Keir Starmer is here. Keir, do you have a dog at home?
We've got a cat.
Oh, have
a cat
you?
called Jojo, but my kids are on a campaign to get a dog. So
really? What sort of dog are they after? Is there?
They'd take any dog, but a German Shepherd is what our daughter wants. But this is a beautiful dog.
He's beautiful.
Really, yeah.
Would you like to say hello? Would you like to say hello?
We're actually training him up
honestly,
to
you're
help
going to fuel their campaign.
autism.
This is what they want.
Hello.
This is why we're here for your children.
Hello.
So Buddy's a...
Look away.
Buddy is an autism dog, so he's going to help.
Okay.
Eventually, you will help children with autism to cope
Yeah.
in life. How old is he now, Hillary?
4 months, 6 months,
Oh,
something like
fantastic.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
he's starting to get,
But we're putting him through his training.
Absolutely. So
So
before
he
we
will be working with autistic
Children,
Yes.
to
Oh,
help them
fantastic.
go to school, to help them live their lives with their family.
Oh, brilliant.
It's extraordinary what they're doing.
Yeah, it's really
Look at
clever. Before we talk with Sir Keir, we've got another chance for you to win our sizzling £250,000 competition.
Yes, for this week only, we've got a little bonus prize draw for you, not least Keir's children, who are hopefully going to get a dog after this as well.
Now, as we build up to the next week's general election, we've been inviting the leaders from the largest parties to join us on the sofa to talk more about their key policies.
Yeah, we've already spoken with the Liberal Democrat leader, Sir Ed Davey. We had the SNP's Westminster leader, Stephen Flynn, in. We've invited Rishi Sunak on, leader of the Conservatives, of course. But joining us today, we're speaking to the man that many pollsters predict will be our next Prime Minister, Labour Party leader, Sir Keir Starmer. Good to have you with us this morning,
Thanks for having me on.
Good morning. Very nice to see you.
The thing that everyone is talking about. You can't go anywhere without people asking your opinion. Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is dominating the news cycles, the front pages, the back pages, everything. You were there on the weekend?
We were there on Friday. I was there with Vic, my wife, and our 2 children. It was phenomenal. It was incredible.
So good, isn't she?
She's so good. It was 3 hours. It was 45 or 46 songs. And I learnt that our 13 years and a half girl, knew every word of every song of every album. They were all there singing along all the way through.
And how about you, Keir? Do you know any of the words?
Not so many of the words. I did wear some bracelets.
Did you do any bracelet swapping?
I was bracelet trading as well. I learned how to do that.
Bit of dad dancing,
our girl
like
took
Prince
us
William?
through how you trade in bracelets and what that means. She was really good at it.
I bet.
And also it was really good for sort of making friends with people who were nearby her. So it was brilliant, I have to say. But 3 hours, I mean, that was absolutely phenomenal.
Do you have a favourite Taylor Swift song?
Change, of course.
Okay.
That's what the election is about.
Is this what your team said should be your song?
The bracelet my team gave me did have Change on it, but we added to it.
I think it's really interesting, Sir Keir, because in amongst the frenzy and the chaos and the hard work, the relentless campaign trail, being able to spend some time with your family, which is at the key of who you are, must be absolutely vital.
I mean, you're spot on. So on that Friday, I'd started in York, I'd overnighted in York, and then I went up to Scotland in the morning, a bit further up beyond Edinburgh, then back, then down to Stansted, then to Harlow, and eventually arrived late, actually, at Wembley to join my family. But then just to have, whatever it was, a couple of hours with Vic and the kids, watching a concert, which was fantastic. It was brilliant. It was really fantastic quality time and just really relaxing. And you know, when you've been on the road we've been on the road every single day so far, it was just really nice to just get that time.
And did you make that decision between all of you to actually keep each other very separate from essentially being on the campaign trail and your work and their work and the kids?
Yeah, slightly different decisions for Vic and then the kids. For the kids, from the very start, we took the decision that we would keep them as protected as we possibly can, so we won't have any photo shoots with the children.
Yeah.
And we don't name them in public. And I want them to be able to walk to school as their own people, doing as normal things as they can. I know this is going to get really hard, but just to give them that space to live their own lives. You know, if they were under 5, I think it would be a slightly different situation.
For sure.
If they were 20 years plus, but 13 and a half for our girl, 15, nearly 16 for our boy, these are quite impactful times. And so far as we can, we're trying to make sure that they can have, you know, the lives of an ordinary teenage boy and girl. And it is Yeah, it's tricky. And one thing we lose from that is people don't see me with my children, which,
Sure.
you know, gives you a sense of what person you are. With Vic, it's slightly different because she will do the things that we have to do together. She's there at conference, etc. But during this campaign, she's been working at the NHS, which is where...
Yeah.
And our boy's been doing his GCSEs. And we took the decision at the beginning that to try to make the environment as normal for him to just get up, go to school, do his exams, come home. And actually, me being out on the road is quite helpful for that. I mean, he's finished now. I came back Friday week ago, and there was a cardboard box by the bin, the last day of the exam, and all his exams, his past exams, his textbooks. He'd taken his school uniform off, put it all in this box next to the bin, and he's sitting on the sofa with a sort of grin on his face. Last exam done. The first time he's had that feeling of the summer ahead. It was brilliant.
Oh, I remember that.
But you can remember it, but I'm a dad, and my boys are 19 and 17, so my Jack went through his GCSEs last year. And, of course, as a dad, it's a really important time to be around, to be able to support. And you couldn't have been more busy. I mean, of all the times to have to go through an election campaign, your son was going through the most important part of his education so far.
No, exactly. And because I think it dawned on our boy, and I think it probably does, that these exams really do matter. Yeah. So suddenly he was working really hard, and then we go into the cycle of them. And in ordinary circumstances, I would have liked to have been around. But, you know, Rishi Sunak called the election when he did, you know, and that meant we were in the middle of the GCSEs at the time. But
how are they feeling about the prospect of what might happen next, Keir? Because polls, and I'm sure you've talked about it, the polls are putting you guys as the next leader, the next Prime Minister, the next sort of government. How do they feel about the fact that their life is about to significantly change, or could significantly change?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've got to get it over the line a week on Thursday, but they're worried, if I'm honest. They are worried about it because I think any parent would understand this. If you're a teenage child, you don't want things to change. You've got things set up at home exactly as you want them. You've got your friends, you've got your routines, and you've got your first little bits of independence, what you do after school. It may not be a big thing, but it's the first, you know, you can do what you want with your friends after school for a limited amount of time, whatever it may be. All of that, I can see deep down they're worried that this could change, which is why we will fiercely protect their privacy, fiercely ensure that we sort of ensure that they are able to continue doing that. And it's consistent. When they were born, Vic and I sat down and said, you know, what do we want from our children? And we didn't want to say they must, you know, do this, go to university, do this career or whatever. We said happy and confident. So when they were born, for each of them, there were only two things that we said, whatever they do in life, however they grow up, you know, we'll do the best we can as parents, but happy and confident are the sort of, I don't know, guiding stars for us, for our children. As long as they're happy, as long as they're confident, then I'm smiling, and that guides us in the decisions we make about them. But I wouldn't be being straight with you if I didn't say I'm worried about the impact, and inside, I think they are.
But they'll all move with you if you get into number 10.
Oh, yeah. We'll live together, and they will ramp up now, having seen this dog. They will ramp up their campaign.
It's the least you can do, Dad, after what you've put us through. That would be fair.
You've got the line.
Yeah. I've got teenagers as well. Can we talk about a few policy things
of course.
While we're here? Lots of conversation from our viewers, particularly about VAT on private school fees. Trying to understand the perspective from Labour with regards to putting VAT on school fees. I know that there is a campaign to try and get you to change your mind on this. Education, not taxation. I think over 166,000 people have signed the petition to try and change your thoughts on this. The headmaster of your old grammar school has come out, Sean Fenton, and said this is going to take children out of the private school sector. It's going to unfairly penalise parents that are trying really hard to give their children an opportunity with higher education, and put more kids into the state school sector that is already oversubscribed.
Yeah. Look, it's a difficult one, this. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And I do understand many parents who work hard and save hard to send their children to private school because of the aspiration that they have for their child. But I also know that every single parent has aspiration for their child wherever they go to school. And at the moment, in our state secondary schools, which is, you know, 93% of all of the children in the country, we don't have enough teachers in the basic subjects like maths. So some people watching this, some parents will know the experience of maths being taught by a supply teacher or a PE teacher. That's not on, and that can be really impactful on that child. So we've got 6,500 teachers we need to recruit into our state secondary schools.
But so you're saying
that we need to that the money from removing the tax break will be used directly to fund the teachers that we need in our state secondary schools.
But the amount of money that you raise per child from VAT is about £3,000. But it's going to cost more than double that for that child to go into the state school sector.
Yeah, we did look at this, and the IFS looked at it as well, and they worked out that there'll be a negligible impact on the state sector. In fact, many parents wouldn't, in fact, move their children, was their assessment. Obviously, we had done our own studies, but independently they looked at it. And, of course, schools don't have to pass this on. This is the school that gets the tax break that's being removed. They don't have to pass it on to the parents. But I'm not... Look, I do understand why people are concerned about it, but I have to answer the question, do you think we should have the teachers we need in our state secondary schools, particularly in subjects like maths? The answer to that for me is yes, I do think, and it's not right that those children don't have a maths teacher. And also I have to answer the question quite rightly, well, if you're going to do that, have you costed it? How are you going to fund it? And so that's why we took what is... It is a difficult decision.
It is. Some of the other parties' perspectives on this, Nigel Farage has said from Reform UK, who are getting a lot of traction at this election, of course, has slammed this, calling it not morally right. He says if he was Labour, he would introduce more scholarships to go to some of these elite schools. What they would give is private schools tax relief 20% and would put no VAT on fees. They want to incentivise parents to choose independent schools.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful of smaller parties, but it is easier for them to have a long list of what they're going to do without explaining as carefully as we have to where we would find the funding for that. The golden principle in our manifesto is every proposal is fully costed and fully funded.
They will argue that all of their proposals...
I think Nigel Farage would say maybe they're not, but they're good ideas nonetheless. And that's his prerogative because he's not under the same constraints. But, you know, we saw what happens when you lose control of the economy, with Liz Truss in particular, but the last 14 years. Working people pay the price. People will be watching whose mortgages are higher. I'm not prepared to let that happen. And in a sense, you know, this is an election about change, on saying, you know, we've had 14 years now. Is anything really better than it was at the beginning of the exercise? Most people, I think, would say most things are broken and I don't feel any better off. Now, that's not going to change if we have 5 more years of the Tories, but we can turn the page and start to rebuild with Labour and take the first steps on day one towards, you know, a better country.
Sure.
I think there's also a lot of... there's about a quarter of women who haven't decided yet where they're going to vote, in what way. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people aren't connecting?
Well, I think in an election...
and what would you say to those women?
I would say to them, our primary focus is on wealth creation. That's what our manifesto is all about, growing our economy, making sure that we're generating the money we need in this country. And women entrepreneurs in particular are brilliant at this. We had a session in Swindon with women entrepreneurs. They've got fantastic ideas, experience of running businesses that will be, I hope, at the heart of the change that we want to bring about. There are other things, of course, in terms of education they'll have a keen interest in. We want to change the curriculum, for example, to make sure there's more of an emphasis on confident speaking for our children so that they can have the skills they need to go into the workplace they're likely to be going into. But I do think that women, for me, will be absolutely at the heart of our mission to grow the economy, to improve our living standards. And you know, for entrepreneurs, for businesses, it's really tough because you're putting your own money in quite often. You're putting your whole self in and taking risks, and that needs to be think
well,
I think Buddy might want to, on behalf of your children, come in. Buddy, Buddy, come on in, whether he's going to come in and say one last thing. Quickly,
Thank you very much.
All the other leaders of the major parties answered a question for the Radio Times, which was their favourite TV show. You didn't answer for some reason, Sir Keir. Have you got a favourite TV show?
At the moment, it's Friday Night Dinner.
Friday Night Dinner.
Now, that's an old series.
It is.
But our kids love it.
It is very fun.
So this is an unusual situation because we always stay in on a Friday with the with the kids. Unusual situation at the moment where we are all literally sitting on the sofa watching old episodes together. That, but just because of the different shows and their ages, hasn't actually happened for a while. It's slightly formulaic, I have to admit,
But it's brilliant
they
fun.
find it very, very funny.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming
We have
this morning.
invited all of the leaders onto the show, including Rishi Sunak, in the coming days.
We'll see you after
Now,
this.
Buddy, do you want to say goodbye to Sophie?